since there was a buzz about this topic, because I've been speaking to a few people in the last few days about it, about Tisha B'Av that just came around. There's something fascinating that is, it's not that something happened, but just an interesting topic, and something kind of did happen, even though it didn't happen yet, but that's kind of what I want to get into and explain. First of all, we have to know certain things about Tisha B'Av. There's a famous Gemara that we know. The rabbis speak about it all the time, especially in the 3 weeks. Any generation that did not build the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, it is as if, come on, everyone should know that one. It is as if it was destroyed. Very good. Now let's analyze that. You know, a famous question people always pose is, how can I really relate to the past? You know, how can I feel mourning for an old temple that I never saw 2,000 years ago? The people 2,000 years ago, they sinned. You know, they had sinat chinam. So what is it falling on us for? You know, how are we supposed to really feel for something that's so long ago? This second temple, and even the people, you know. So, the truth, someone who's not so familiar with what Tisha B'Av is about would ask a question like that. The truth, that's a very wrong question, because it shows the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But yet a lot of people have that question. So let me explain. Any generation that did not build the temple, it is as if they destroyed it. Okay? So already we're talking about our generation, and it has nothing to do with the past. It's nothing to do with the people of the past. Already that midrash is trying to tell us that, because it's saying every generation. Now the way Rabbi Kessin explains is, again based on Ramchal, is that once a year, and listen to this, once a year on Tisha B'Av, there's a court case that goes on. They're deciding, meaning Hashem is the judge, and the angels, whoever's bringing prosecution, and the other side, the side on us, they're debating whether we should have the Beit HaMikdash or not.
Really?
And on Tisha B'Av, it's decided. There is a decision. There's a verdict. Give it to them or don't give it to them. A yes or no. Now it could be, I don't know, I'm just thinking to myself. It could be that the 3 weeks, because we make a big deal of the 3 weeks, like it escalates, maybe there's a back and forth court case during that time. I mean, there's got to be some correlation with it. But the decision is done on Tisha B'Av. So all of a sudden, on Tisha B'Av, it rolls around, and we find there's no Beit HaMikdash, because it can happen instantly.
You just appear, right?
That's what it says. But again, it could be, if people don't want to understand that as a magical thing, there is ways to make sense of that where it still is called appearing, even if it's done in a natural way. Just want to get to that, you know? Because people sometimes have because we can't picture what that is. We don't know what that means. But it's true. We don't want to say, no, I'm not saying that the machloket. I'm saying we don't understand what it means to just drop down. But yet it says that, so we have to believe it. But it could be with technology and this, we don't know how it's going to go, what it means in a messianic type of an era, what can actually happen. So it could actually happen like that, even though we can't picture it. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, either way, it's going to come down, and it's going to be something that, you know, we've never seen before. Now, obviously when the Beit HaMikdash comes, the world is going to change. And once Mashiach starts, it's a whole different era and a whole different game plan that we're in. So when it says any generation that does not build it, what it means is like this. There was a decision in heaven. Should we make the Beit HaMikdash or not? Now obviously, Tisha B'Av rolls around, we don't see it. So we realize that a no decision was done. So all of a sudden, because of that, we all mourn. Because we're devastated. No Beit HaMikdash again. The no decision was done. So we're devastated, so we mourn. But let them mourn from 2,000 years ago. No, it has nothing to do with them. We caused it, because they were judging the events of this year. The no verdict was of this year. This year's actions of people, nothing to do with the people of the past. So it's us who's doing it. You see, if the Beit HaMikdash is standing, if you get a no verdict, it will be destroyed. If it's not standing, the no verdict will cause it not to be built. So that's what it means. Any generation that the Beit HaMikdash is not built in his day, it is as though it was destroyed. Because it's the same no verdict that's pulling them both off. You see, if it's standing, it's be destroyed. If it's not standing, it won't be built. But it's the same idea. It's the same no verdict. That's what's been happening year after year. Our actions of sinat chinam, of baseless hatred, has still yet to end and cause the Beit HaMikdash to finally come. It's a no decision year after year after year. Now something bothered me when I learned this many years ago, but Baruch Hashem, I think I found an answer to it this year. So let me tell you the question that was bothering me. Let's say 1 year, there's a yes. Imagine 1 year there's a yes. But it's so fast, it's going to be right on Tisha B'Av. We're already going to be on the floor, mourning and saying the keynote. So how are we going to know fast enough? I mean, isn't it a shame to get a yes decision and then be mourning just because there's no time to know yet? I mean, Hashem has to play it out during the year. But how are we going to know that second? If it's on the same day, the decision in Shamayim, how are we supposed to know? It would be a shame to mourn on a day that they actually said yes. Right? So it always bothered me, like, well, how's that supposed to be? This year I found the answer. You know what the answer is? And this is the whole punchline. And then we'll continue to analyze it. Hashem can have Tisha B'Av on a yes decision year. He can have it land on Shabbat. Tisha B'Av can land on Shabbat. So we are celebrating and eating on Tisha B'Av. And that's what happened this year.
Wow.
Did you know that? This year it was Sunday, not because it didn't fall on Sunday. It was Shabbat. We just pushed it off to the next day. Do you know we ate on Tisha B'Av? We celebrated. We had Shabbat. Festive meals, like a holiday. It was like, and wine, it was like a holiday that we say, right, and meat, because we're not supposed to have that during the 3 weeks. So we had it on Tisha B'Av. Could it be that this year was a yes decision and Hashem had it happen that we ended up having a festive time during that year? Because again, it would be a shame to get a yes and we're all on the floor. So maybe we got a yes and Hashem arranged it in a way where we were partying, a kosher party. So Bezrat Hashem, yeah.
And how often does it land on Shabbos?
Very good. It doesn't happen often. It might land on Sunday a lot, but that's because it lands on Sunday. But it hardly lands on Shabbat, and we push it to a Sunday. It is once in a while.
It was about 12, 13 years ago.
But it does happen. I mean, you could say all those times maybe it was also times to do.
Regular basis, right?
It's interesting, even though the calendar is set up, it still doesn't fall as much as the others. It's a funny way. Again, Hashem is in charge of making that calendar, and that's just how it goes. Even all the holidays, you could say that there's a certain technique and the workings that's kind of miraculous with that calendar, even though it's all set up. So that could be what might have happened, Bezrat Hashem. Now, why is it exciting? Again, years ago it fell on Shabbat also. Why isn't it as exciting then? Because now we have all the pieces to the puzzle. We've been waiting for these few years, 2012 and 13 and all these things and what's going on in Israel. It's like all the pieces were coming together, and now here's another piece, just to clinch the whole thing, that this year that we're hoping and we're assuming that something's supposed to happen, it lands on Shabbat. So it's like it's too coincidental. It might actually be that we got a yes decision this year. Just imagine, what would the world be if we finally, after 2,000 years, got that yes? We might have gotten it. And also we have the Siyum HaShas coming tomorrow. Again, with that zechut, and we had classes on this, with that zechut, after it's done, after tomorrow, who knows what might start to happen in the world? Things could actually start to take off in a real messianic way. This is very exciting. Now let's see. Let's say you get a yes decision. Now, of course, we don't know if we did. If we did, it'll play out during the year. Also, the Beit HaMikdash is not step one of getting the Beit HaMikdash. Like we said before, there's a messianic process. There's a step 1 and step 2. The yes decision is not so much that the building falls down. That's still in its place, because there's still all the messianic steps that have to happen. But we're just waiting for step 1 to finally kick in. And it'll be apparent. It's not like, did we miss it? You don't miss it. And if you think you missed it, it means because it didn't come yet. Step 1, even though it's step 1, is very apparent. It'll be something that'll just change the Jewish world. So we'll know about it. So it could be something is up ahead this year, again, maybe with the zechut of the Siyum Hashas, that something will start to hit the Jewish world and turn things around. You know, whatever is lacking and missing will be filled, and it will start a true messianic process. Now, what's the real thing that we're looking for? When we get a yes decision, a yes verdict in Shamayim, what are we looking for? When a yes decision is given in Shamayim, what's supposed to happen, or what will happen, is Hashem will cause political events to occur which will give us access to the entire land, where we will be in the land of Israel by ourselves, and we won't have enemies around us. You know, politically it has to come out, because Hashem's not just gonna, it's not time of miracles like that yet. That's later, in the Davidic time. But now we're still in the Joseph Messiah time, which we've explained. So that's more of natural events, even though all natural events is also miraculous, because how can the Berlin Wall fall and all this kind of stuff? It's still miraculous, but it still takes its natural way about it. Something has to happen that will clear Israel of our enemies, and that will prove that we got a yes that year. You see? So it could be, since God willing, we hope that this year we got a yes, things will actually start to take place to better our state and our residency in Israel. All kinds of things can happen. So we don't know. We just have to hope and look forward and look towards these things that might happen. And keep your eyes open. You know, when you see the news and this and that, try and think, so what might this be that's following the messianic process? Don't just look at the news like everybody else as a political type of a thing. It's nothing to do with politics. It's only about Hashem and Him running His show. Whatever He's up to next happens next. Now it could be, again, God willing this year, that something drastically good is supposed to happen. So we're really in a time that's very exciting. You know, the world has never seen a yes decision. And again, we're not sure, but we're hoping. And again, a lot of the pieces of the puzzle seem to be falling there. Now, it doesn't mean, obviously, if next year, well, two things. You know, why did we then mourn on Sunday if we think we got a yes decision on Shabbat? Because we still don't know yet. The point was, when Tisha B'Av, the real Tisha B'Av came, we were in Shabbat. Of course, the day later, you just went through the motions. So that's that. Now, what about next year? If next year rolls around, and there's two things. If something's supposed to happen this year, there may not be a Tisha B'Av next year, which means the rabbis could actually get together there has to be obviously a drastic event that is noticeable, that it's messianic for them to be able to do something like that.